You're listening to Aimee Keeps It Creepy, the podcast where I share my obsession with true crime and the paranormal with you. I'm your host, Aimee Brooks. They could hurt you if you ignore them, so be polite. They are extremely territorial, so learn to live with them. They may be watching you now, so you might want to put some clothes on. This is the Halloween Ghost Special with celebrity psychic Richard-Lael Lillard. Happy Halloween, creepsters. To celebrate the creepiest of seasons, October is full of especially spooky and nightmarish episodes to get you into the Halloween spirit and possibly keep you awake at night. And if you're up for even more terrifying fun, check out the Aimee Keeps It Creepy Patreon page for my pajama party ghost hunt of my own house. In addition to awesome bonus content and member-only bonus podcast episodes, Patreon supporters also get commercial-free early access to Aimee Keeps It Creepy each week. There's also a tier that gets monthly candles from a candle story, and even an exclusive tier that gets a monthly Zoom call with me to discuss all things creepy. That should be fun. Check out our website, creepypodcast.com, or on Instagram @creepypodcast for all the latest show news and free weekly giveaways. Our special guest tonight has had countless television appearances, including Ghost Adventures. He is a celebrity psychic, medium, and occultist. Not only that, this gentleman psychic has mad style. Please welcome Richard-Lael Lillard. Hi, Richard-Lael.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, so good. Thank you for joining us for this extra creepy Halloween special.
I am honored to be here on this extra creepy Halloween special.
Ooh, this is kind of your time of year. I know it is mine.
I do love October. I love when the spirits are all around, the veil is thin, and people turn their thoughts to the macabre.
Ooh.
I love it.
I have a feeling the spirits are always around you, though, Richard-Lael. I just have a feeling about you.
That they are. I'm a haunted person.
Ooh, well put. Okay, we'll explore that. Well, I've always been a fan of creepy things, and I know you have too. And I'm fascinated by the idea of a spirit world. But in doing this podcast, I have experienced strange things that I cannot explain. And my guest stories of hauntings are literally out of this world. So here's my question for you. Are ghosts real?
Of course ghosts are real. There are different kinds of hauntings. There are grandmothers who've passed away and war soldiers that have died. And there are those that have unfinished business. And then there are sort of, I don't know how to describe it. It's sort of like a recording, like a record on a needle, but the record is scratched and it keeps playing over and over and over. There are interdimensional beings that were never human. There are poltergeists, yes, ghosts, spirits, demons, they're all real.
Oh, you see, I think they're real too. I've just had too many encounters to deny it. But it's as if these spirits do not know that they're dead. And if I've learned one thing from being a paranormal podcast host and interviewing people involved with the most haunted places on earth, it's that I do not want to become a ghost. I will do anything not to become a ghost. It sounds like a miserable experience and existence. How does one become a ghost? I need to know so I can avoid becoming one.
Well, there are different theories, of course. The major concept is that there is unfinished business or if someone dies tragically. So if there's a car accident or a murder or if they're in battle or there are many ways. It can be very lonely and very sad.
Right, but the not knowing you're dead, that is insane to me. I mean, when does that end? It just goes on forever?
No, I wouldn't say it goes on and on forever. Because the thing is, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It only changes form. So as time goes on, it will dissipate and their energy will not be there because it can't. It has to go on the source. So when they don't realize they're dead, it's a very sad thing. I actually help a lot of them to sort of let go of their existence and move into another realm, whatever that realm may be. So it is very sad, though.
Yeah. So does it matter where you die? Is that the place you're going to haunt? Because if it is, I'm never going to a DMV or a 7-Eleven again, because there's no way I'm spending my afterlife stuck in a place like that.
Well, I heard of a haunted Burger King once.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know anything about it, but I remember reading somewhere that there was a haunted Burger King. So yes, it can be if you die tragically in that place, or if you have a special connection to that place.
You really love those burgers.
So if you really loved a Burger King double Whopper, then you might find yourself going back there.
Okay, so I hate the DMV, so I will not be stuck there in the afterlife, even if I die there.
Perfect.
Great.
That would be perfect.
Perfect. But it just seems like people, they haunt the places that they die in, and that freaks me out.
That does happen frequently, because oftentimes the cognitive ghosts, the ones that are aware that there's something strange, time doesn't really exist the way that we think that it does. In our mind, it exists A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But then I think the closest to what I've come across as to spirits is the others with Nicole Kidman, where oftentimes they will just go about their business and not understand why things are moved and why things are different and why there was a door here and now there's a wall. I don't understand this.
Yeah, for those of you who've never seen that movie, spoiler alert, it's about this creepy bitch that murders her children, and they're living in this house, and they don't know that they're the ones haunting the people who now own it. So they have no idea, and that's my theory. I think all these ghosts, they have no idea that they're gone. And so that leads me to my next question, Richard-Lael. What do ghosts want from the living?
Well, energy mostly. So there are two deaths. The first death happens when the heart stops and the breathing is no longer. The second death is when people forget about you. That's the hardest death to deal with, because then I like to sort of link it to I live in LA, and there are homeless people on Hollywood Boulevard a lot, and you will see sometimes that these poor souls will act crazy and act insane, because a little bit of, ooh, what is that, is better than no energy at all. So spirits are the same way. They just want to be acknowledged. They just want to feel that they exist, that they have some sort of presence, no matter what it is, even if it's not in their earthly form. Every energy wants to be acknowledged and respected.
Huh. Yeah, I don't want any of those crazy guys on Hollywood Boulevard haunting me. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Interesting. They want to be acknowledged and not forgotten. So it seems like they do realize that we're there around them. They have cognition about our existence next to them.
Well, it's sort of, they're in other dimensions at some point. It's sort of like a fish cannot see above the water, and even if they couldn't understand what a boat is. They don't have that ability. We can look down into the water and we can see them, and they could see the top of the boat, the bottom of the boat, but they would not, they can't fathom what it is. And that's sort of the way that spirit and those among the living interact with each other, is that sometimes they pass right through and they don't even understand, or we don't understand. Sometimes we can see it, but there's not that connection.
Interesting.
They can be very angry. My house, as you well know, is haunted.
I didn't know that. Tell me. My house is haunted too. We need to talk about this.
Well, I live in an 1890 Victorian, and it is haunted. And when I first moved in, I was busy moving in, and I didn't take my time to prepare myself and to prepare the spirit. And where I sleep, it was once the study. And I moved in, and I'd see this gentleman standing by my armoire, and I didn't pay him any attention because I was busy with other things, and I would go into sleep. And
wait, but you didn't pay him any attention? There's some dude in your bedroom, and you're just...
I know.
That's normal to you.
Well, I see ghosts all the time, so
wow.
I don't. They don't affect me. Well, I awakened one morning with this gentleman standing over my bed, screaming, "What are you doing in here? Who are you? What is this?" And then I
Oh,
realized how rude that I was for coming into the home and not actually introducing myself as as a guest, as the caretaker. And so I apologized and I said, I want you to know that I appreciate you allowing me to stay here. I love your home. It is so beautiful. And I am grateful that I can be your guest. I don't own the house, but if I did, you would have your study back. And I just want you to know that I appreciate you, and I'll be bringing in furniture from your period of existence. So you will be welcome here. You will be comfortable here, and I appreciate you. And since then, the spirit has been really, really sweet. Even Patty Negri came over for a seance, and she goes, "Oh, there's a lovely Victorian gentleman standing right over there." So, and other people have seen him too. Just it's funny how it happens. Now he's really sweet.
but this is why you have the moniker the gentleman psychic, because you're so polite. I would not be that polite. See, personally, me, I'm fine that ghosts lurk around. But in my house, I don't do bugs or ghosts. They can kindly stay outside. And I have a great exterminator, but they only handle the bugs. So let's talk about my haunting, okay?
Yes, tell me.
My son has always told me that there are 2 ghosts living in my house. And my older daughter also saw a ghost when she was younger. So my 2 older children have seen them, and I'm pretty convinced that my baby has been interacting with someone that I can't see. I have heard a voice talking to her once when I was in the other room. And she reacts like she's entertained by something, and it freaks me out. Are children more sensitive, or are they just drawn to children?
Children are more sensitive because adults, as we age, as we get older, we have a lot of things we have to take care of. We have bills, and we have mortgages, and we have car payments, and we have to worry about being late, and then we are oftentimes told, "Oh, ghosts aren't real. Oh, that's not real. Oh, it's an imaginary friend. It can't really hurt you." And as we sort of rationalize it away, then we no longer see it. It's sort of one of my favorite quotes is from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the musical. And the song is, "It must be believed to be seen." So as adults, in order to see it, you have to believe it. But it's easy for children to see it because they're not told not to believe it.
Wow. See, and I was not a believer. But since I started this podcast in March, there's been a lot of talking about ghosts and a lot of paranormal activity around the house. And I have noticed so much stuff, Richard-Lael. I mean, we're talking voices. I've captured EVPs. Lights go on and off. I have to shut off my televisions. I have to unplug them at night because they turn on and off and change channels, and the volume goes up and down. It's scary. I heard a disembodied voice from the other room just talking. What is going on? Is it because I have this extra energy with the podcast? What is it?
Well, this is true. The more you talk about it, the more you are aware of it. The more you are aware of it, it's that energy. It's sort of like if you think, "Oh, I really want to buy this watch. This is the watch I want to buy." Then all of a sudden you see that watch everywhere. It goes with anything that you sort of think about. Then you start seeing other representations of it everywhere else. Even if it's a car, you'll suddenly notice that everyone is driving that car. So your mind, as you focus on those things, will start to pick up on those extrasensory perceptions.
So I just need to go back to my state of denial, and then I'll be okay.
Well, I think you'll be okay either way. I would definitely recommend making certain that you speak calmly and politely, because remember, you're the guest in their home.
Oh, you see, I see it so differently. No one is paying me any rent. This is my house now. I feel like this is my time, and I feel like they're invaders.
I did have that one time when I lived in Hollywood. I don't live in Hollywood now. I live in Pasadena, but I did live in Hollywood in a 1920s apartment building. It was so cute. I loved the building. But that whole place, it was right across the street from Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Oh!
And so the whole place had another worldly feel to it. And then, one neighbor, he was a hoarder, And then there was another neighbor who was shot in his face by his girlfriend.
It's just a cast of characters, and that's the living.
That's the living, right? So my apartment, my little unit, I would sometimes see this full body apparition by my closet. And I would go, okay, that's strange. And I would just let it go. And I'd walk into the bathroom, let it, walk into the kitchen, whatever it may be. And there he was, there, always by that door. And then things would turn up missing, or I would hear footsteps behind me. I lived on the top floor, nobody below me because it was a prop house, no one above me because we didn't have access to the roof. People stomping around behind me, things shaking, things being moved. It was really quite peculiar. And then my closet door every morning with clockwork, like clockwork, my closet door would open up by itself. The doorknob would turn, the tumblers would fall, the door would open up. 2:00 every morning. Then one morning, the doorknob turned and I heard the footsteps. They walked right over to my bed, and the corner of my bed picked up and slammed to the ground.
Oh.
I said,
no.
Okay, now I'm, well, this is where I said, now I'm tired. Now I'm done. Now you've messed with my slumber. I am the one paying the rent.
Yeah, and your dating life. You can't have anybody over when that's going on.
And I said, you can't do this anymore. I pay the rent here. You're welcome to stay here if you're going to be nice, but that's not nice. And you know who you are. Get out. So the next morning, by the way, I never had that problem again, but the next morning, my friend came over and he goes, something is different. I don't know, everything looks the same, but there's something, it feels lighter. And I went, I exercised the closet ghost. I told him that.
You evicted that guy. That guy's out of there. Yeah, that was aggressive. I don't like that.
That one was aggressive. But now I lived in Vegas in a 1950s apartment building many years ago that was haunted. And that was kind of a funnier story because the first day that I met her, and she was she was an older woman that had lived there in the 60s. She was a showgirl.
Oh, so she's fun. She's a fun girl to party with.
Yeah, no, she was really lovely, but then she had gotten older, and then she had eventually been moved to a nursing home, and then she had passed away. And the first time I met her, my door, I worked overnight at the casino. I was a singing blackjack dealer, Freddie Mercury.
Awesome. Awesome. I need pictures.
I got home at about 4:00 in the morning, and at 5:00 in the morning, my bedroom door opened up and slammed shut. Well, I went back to sleep because I just did. There was nobody above me. Again, nobody below me. It was just a very little quiet little building. And I went, oh, that was very strange. Well, then I started noticing that my bathtub, I had a fever, and my bathtub was glowing in the dark. There were no windows. And I went, that's peculiar. That's really strange. So then I started seeing her walk down the hallway from out of the bathroom. She would stand behind me. I would sit on the sofa facing the mirror over the fireplace. And she would walk behind me, and then I would go, oh, okay. She'd go into the kitchen, and then I wouldn't see her again. Well, one day, my friends were always coming over every Tuesday. That was the ritual. And one of my friends on that Tuesday came over, and he says, you're going to think I'm crazy. Please don't think I'm crazy. I just saw this older woman come out of your bathroom and walk down the hallway and go into your kitchen. And I feel like it's really weird to say that. I went, no, I call her Betty. She's fine. So I had a talk, and I said, listen, Betty, you're fine to be here. It's your house. You're fine to be here. But don't scare my friends. They don't understand you the way that I do. So you're welcome to be here. Just don't scare my friends. Well, she didn't. And then about 2 months before I moved out of that place, I met this gentleman on it was a gay mixer club thing. I don't know, but he came over and chatted me up, and he thought I was British, and I let him think it because why not?
Because British is sexy. It just is.
So we go back to my place. We sit down and we have tea. And then we go into the bedchamber and we have fun. But he had taken his sunglasses off and set them on the side table in the living room. And when he came out, we couldn't find his glasses anywhere. We looked in the sofa, and we looked in the chairs, and we looked under the table. We looked under everything.
Betty.
We went back into the bedroom. We couldn't find it. We looked in the bathroom, couldn't find it. Any place that he would have been, we couldn't find it. So 2 months later, he says, well, actually, he says, well, maybe I left them in the car. I don't know. That's really strange. I thought I had them. I thought I took them off here. That's really strange. 2 months later, I did find his sunglasses as I moved out. I was clearing the cupboards in the kitchen, and I found them in the top shelf above the refrigerator in the back.
Oh, my God. That was not you. That was not him. That was Betty.
That was Betty. She didn't like it. She went, yeah, you want to mess with me?
Wow. I had a cat who would pee on my lover's pillow if she didn't like him. But yeah, I never had a ghost. I never had a ghost messing with my lovers. Wow. Yeah, but what was with the glowing tub? I thought you were going to tell me that she died in the tub, or I don't know. She just liked bubble baths?
Well, my sixth sense tells me that she had what had taken her to the nursing home. What was the last and final straw was that, and it wasn't there because she had moved on, but she loved that place. But she had gotten out of the bathtub and had tripped, and her children said, Mom, you have to go to the nursing home.
Oh, so it was the bathtub. That was the end of it.
Yeah.
That changed her life.
Yeah. So that's why she was there.
That's powerful. It's powerful if you're able to move an object like that. So can you get hurt by a pissed off spirit?
You can. You have to be very careful. That's why I tell people incredibly, it's so important. You have to respect the spirit. You have to remember that they are there and they have every right to be there as much as you do. So always be polite, always be respectful, always sort of approach it as if you are their friend. If they are showing their teeth, if they are throwing things, if they are banging cabinet doors and opening, you have to stand your ground. You have to then become sort of a parent and say, no, I said no more of that. I don't tolerate it, no more. So you start off sort of being respectful, but if they progress, then that's when you have to be aggressive.
Okay, I'm going to stand my ground. Yeah, I don't like it when they scare me, and I don't like it when they scare the kids. So tell me about demons, because they scare me a lot more than ghosts.
Well, again, demons are interdimensional beings, and they can be malevolent or benevolent or neutral completely. It just depends upon, their moods or their energies.
But aren't they malevolent by definition?
No, it's a Western definition. It's very much in the vein of the church as to what, the exorcist, oh, that's a demon, that's a malevolent spirit. But in parts of the world like China or Japan, they have demons all the time. And there's one demon in China who only washes a leaf in a pond. That's the only thing she does. Another demon takes the form of a leg and kicks passersby. That's all it does.
These are some boring lives. That's
Right.
kind of insignificant. They're like they're on the lower rung of the demon world. Tell me about the scary ones, though, because what my question is I think a lot of hauntings are attributed to ghosts, but it's actually demon activity.
Well, it could very well be demons, interdimensional beings. The thing is, interdimensional beings have the ability to sort of take forms that you can understand, or that they can manipulate your senses so that you hear and feel things. Sometimes things get blamed on demons that are not malevolent spirits. They're not interdimensional beings. Some people think they are, but for me, I when I was a kid, now I have to sort of tell you this. When I was a kid, I had to say that I could find something in common with every energy, even if the devil himself walked into the room. I would find some sort of connection with him.
You're so nice. You're just so nice.
I never actually met the devil. I don't know that I actually believe in the devil, but I had seen spirits. I had seen ones that what people would call demonic.
This month, our Patreon fan bonus episode is horrifying tales of dead bodies used as Halloween decorations. Yes, you heard right. Horrifying tales of dead bodies used as Halloween decorations. I'm not kidding. This is a thing. If you doubted for one moment that the beloved 90s dark comedy Weekend at Bernie's, you know, where the two dudes pass off a dead guy as their host for the weekend at a posh beach house, was an unbelievable storyline, wait till you hear this episode. You'll forever think twice next time you walk by a quote-unquote fake body draped over a fence post amongst the other Halloween decorations. It may in fact be a real corpse. It is a fascinating and super creepy episode exclusively for Patreon fans. Every month, I release a bonus podcast on Patreon along with a ton of bonus content, including cuts that didn't make it into the show and behind the scenes. All Patreon fans get access to the commercial-free episodes of Aimee Keeps It Creepy. And don't forget, there's even a tier that gets a monthly Zoom call with me to discuss all things creepy. So much fun. You can find the Patreon link in the show notes or on my website, creepypodcast.com.
I remember my parents had a 1959 Buick Electra. It was passion pink, beautiful car. And it was supposed to have been given to me, and then it ended up by being sold sometime later. But it was a beautiful car, and it had stopped running for a couple of years, but it was still my car. But there was something very off about it. One day, they had it parked. We lived on a hill in Missouri, so it was parked facing up the hill by the motorhome. And I walked by up the hill to go work with my father, and I saw this face in the car. It was gray, and it had big teeth, and it had big eyes.
Oh.
I went, oh, that was strange. I stood there for a moment, walking backwards, and the car went pop, something in it popped, and it backed around the motorhome, and the wheels turned straight, and it paused for just a moment, and then it rolled down the hill. It was headed towards the river, but it got caught in the fence, so it stopped it. And my mother was watching it from the kitchen window, and she went, "Wow, there's the cars going into the river."
Oh my God, I'm speechless. That's crazy. So it was like driving your car?
It was driving the car.
That's nuts. I've seen that movie.
Christine, yes. Well, this car had once belonged to my older brother. Now, where I'm a Satanist and I don't believe in the devil, but I believe in magic, and I'm sort of along the lines of illumination and Lucifer. My brother back in the 1980s got into actual demon worship, and he had driven that car. So that could be why it was.
So he was inviting some really evil forces into his car and his life. That's crazy.
Absolutely he was.
That scares me. I think that there are some really powerful evil beings out there, and yeah, I don't want them around me. I don't want them in my house. I can't be polite about that.
Well, and that's the good thing, is that you don't have to have them in your house. If you are, there are people who are sensitive. There are people who are actually spiritualists who can summon spirits, and they don't know what they're doing. And so they think, oh, it's just a Ouija board, it's just a game. Or, oh, they're just divining rods, it's just a game. It's not just a game. So you have to know what you're doing, but you have to do it with confidence. You have to make certain that you use the protection that prevents them from attacking you. But again, show respect. If they begin to act a little awry, that's when you stand firm and say, no, don't do that.
Can a spirit kill you?
There is some suggestion that it might. A spirit could frighten you to death. A spirit can manipulate some objects. It takes a lot of energy. But some spirits can manipulate objects. So something could fall on you. But most usually, the ones that would like you to die will scare you to death.
And then you're stuck with them. Because presumably you're going to be stuck in the place that you die. And then you're stuck with the thing that killed you. That's a nightmare. Wow.
Yeah, that does happen.
So that goes back to my question. How do you prevent becoming a ghost? I do not want to become a ghost.
Well, the main way that you prevent it from happening is that you live your life every day as if it's the first and the last day. So it sounds kind of vague and sort of hippy-dippy, but that is sort of my motto. On the first day of existence, you want to touch everything, and you want to smell everything, and you want to taste everything, and you want to do everything because there's so much to learn. But on the last day, you want to tell everyone, I love you, and I respect you, and I want good things for you, and I want happiness for you, and I want you not to worry. I want you not to cry. So it's in that balance of dreaming as if you'll live for 1,000 years, but living as if today's your last day.
Okay. That's a nice way to live life. But I'm talking about the light. Like, is there a way to turn for these spirits to like turn over their shoulder and see a light? And it's, like the movie Ghost. That's how I picture it. Is there really a light that you walk towards and you enter it, and then you're not a spirit anymore on this planet?
When the brain is dying, we do have a series of lights that we do see scientifically. So who knows really what the effects of the lack of oxygen can do to the brain? As far as going to the light, I don't know that that's necessarily the truth. Years ago, when I really started my study of the supernatural and the other world and whatever it may be, I learned from a Hindu guru. And so she was talking about how that when life is at its end of its cycle, when you have gone all of your cycles, you may end up by becoming a spirit guide, or you just go into the ethos, or you become part of the machine that is knowledge, or you just move on. You just stop doing those things. So is there a light? Maybe.
Wow, that's fascinating. So, if you lose your personality and become part of the machine, maybe that's why people stay here. And that's why they try to get acknowledged, and they try to, tempt my son and me into knowing and believing in them and acknowledging them. We're talking about my ghost now on a podcast that, thousands of people are listening to. It's wild.
Well, again, they just oftentimes want acknowledgement. Sometimes, however, a place can be evil. A place can have an energy in it. And you will notice that a series of accidents and suicides and deaths will happen over and over and over. And then when I and other psychics come together, we'll see an amalgamation of all of these faces. So they will absorb that energy, and then the face that they give us looks like several of them combined in one character.
Oh, that's freaky. Oh my God, that is so scary. I'm a scaredy cat. You are a brave man to have seen that, and you're able to sleep at night. Wow.
It's very interesting because sometimes I can see apparitions full body, and I have a hard time distinguishing between the living and the dead. And sometimes I have to sort of ask, are you alive? Oh, okay, you are. Okay, that's fine.
Oh my God. So you could accidentally date a ghost? You're like, what's your number, and are you alive?
I've had some strange instances. So I lived in Greece for a little while, and I was working at a nightclub singing as Freddie Mercury, and I finished my show around 10 o'clock, went back to the little inn I was staying, and I went, something is not right. I need to go back. I need to go back to the little town of Sadari. I need to go back. I don't understand. So I went back, and I thought maybe I'm hungry. So I sat down and ate a bowl of French fries, and I went, still, there's something is not right, and it's not just the grease. There's something not right.
It wasn't a haunted Burger King, right?
It was not the haunted Burger King. But I heard this voice tell me, go to the beach. Go further up the beach. Go further up the beach. Don't go further up the beach. So I went and I went and I went, and I passed these two large, we're talking big Greek men. I was on this island for 6 months. Never saw them before or after in this little town. So I passed these big Greek guys.
And you'd remember them because they're unique.
They were very unique. And I climbed upon this sunbed, the lounge chairs that they had all stacked up. And I began to meditate on the ocean and the sea and the divine feminine and the universe and the energies that were around me. And my attention was drawn to a couple splashing and playing in the beach further down from where I came from. And I went, oh, that's cute. And I refocused my energy back to the sea. Well, before I knew it, she had her dress back on, her hair was wet, she was holding her shoes, and she was walking past me, and she was going really quickly. She was really upset. And I looked behind her, and there was another man who was not the man that was in the sea. And he chased after me, and I thought, okay, I need to prevent this. I need to stop this. I need to see what's going on first. I need to see this. What's going on? So he gets her on the ground, and he's hitting her over the head, and he's calling her all manner of horrible names with a bag of takeout. And he's calling her a slag and a whore and dreadful names. And I stood up, and I put my hands on my hips. And he looks up at me, and he says, mind your own effing business. I'm having a fight with the missus. And I returned the favor, and I said, don't effing touch her. Only I used the word. I didn't use the...
Good for you. You're a hero.
And well, he comes running at me, and he says, I can effing kill you. I'll take you under. I can break you in half. I can rip your face off. I can kill you. And I said, yes, you can. Hold that thought right there. I'll be right back. I went over to these big Greek boys, and I brought them over. I said, excuse me, hi, guys, come with me. I took them by the hand, and I put them on either side of me. And I said to him, don't effing touch her. So she goes off. He kicks her. She falls flat on her back. And I said, hey. He looks up, and these two Greek men swoop in at him, and he has a look of unadulterated terror that I have never seen. And he runs off into the city center and towards the hotel where he was staying. And he ran off alone, by the way. But I looked down at the girl, and I said, here, I'm here to help you. She says, no, I'm so embarrassed. He could have killed you. And then she looked up at me, and she said, oh my God, you're Freddie Mercury, and I was going to go see your show, and I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. I said, no, it's fine. I'm here for you. That's why I'm here. She says, but what were you doing alone on the beach at 3 o'clock in the morning? Because by this point it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And I said, well, I was here for you, and I'm here for him, because I'm telling you, he has a son from another woman. She goes, yeah, he does. I said, tonight he was going to lose his father. That little boy was going to lose his father, because I don't know what was the exact outcome, but either he would have died or gone to prison, and that boy was going to lose his father. So I spent about 20 minutes talking to her and calming her nerves, and 20 minutes later he comes back, and he's really meek, and he's really shy, and the girl gets really nervous, and I said, no, he's fine. I said, you go back to the hotel. You talk to me. He says, I won't hurt you. I said, I know you won't hurt me. I wasn't afraid of you 25 or 30 minutes ago. Why would I be afraid of you now? He said, well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I am bigger than you are, and I could have killed you, and I was wondering what you were doing alone on the beach at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I said, well, you've got a son, and he needs his father. Furthermore, I have to tell you what I saw. In my head, I don't know whose hand it was. I don't know what the scene was. I can only get this image. And this image is, I see water running over a butcher knife, and there is blood everywhere. He said, well, her mother murdered her father with a butcher knife because he was raping her, and she had all she could take, so she murdered him with a butcher knife.
Oh my God.
I said, well, I don't know if that's what I was picking up on, or if I was picking up on what could have happened tonight, but I got to tell you, your son needs you. He needs his father, and you don't love this girl. He said, I was the one who told her to go out and swim with this other guy that we met, and then I came out, and she was happy, and I wasn't happy, and I knew I couldn't give her that happiness. And then it made me feel like I was less of a man. And I said, it doesn't matter anymore, because the thing is, you're going to go back to England, and you're going to stop this. This doesn't happen anymore. You have to break up. You have to separate, because you don't love her. You love the idea of her, but you're holding on to something that isn't good for you. So I went back to my little inn, and I realized there that both of them had asked me, what are you doing alone on the beach at 3 o'clock in the morning? And neither one of them saw the Greek men that were on either side of them. Neither one of them.
Oh my God, you had the kick-ass bodyguard duo. Wow. You should have enlisted them as your entourage, because that's cool protection. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, is that had I not seen them there, I would have seen that he was bigger than me and stronger than me, and I may have been a little bit more timid, but these beings were right there, flesh and blood. I could see them.
Wow, that's wild. So when that guy was flashing with fear, I wonder what he was seeing, or he was experiencing something or feeling something.
He knew that if he didn't leave right then, that there was going to be some major happenstance. He was terrified. He was looking right at me. He didn't look at them. He looked right at me. And he was terrified.
Wow. That's a cool story. It's interesting because I feel like all these stories, there's a lot of paranormal activity at night. Why is that?
Well, it's simple. Really, it's because there is activity during the day. But the problem with during the day is that there's people and there's noise and there's chaos and there's energy and there's car horns and there's traffic. And then people are rushing to get home from work and rushing to work and rushing places. And at night, when the sun has set, then our bodies, our own energy, our breathing slows, our heart rate slows. We ourselves are in between the realms of living and dead. The veil becomes very thin. It becomes a lot easier for spirits on the other side to come through. It's sort of along the same lines of, the moon has power. It controls the tides. It controls the water on the planet. And our bodies are roughly 80% water. So we're controlled by that too. And so are they. They oftentimes will use water vapor and they will use electricity. So at night, there is that dew, there is that moisture, there is that pull from the moon.
Okay, so let's get back to the electricity, because I actually recorded my first EVP during a recent ghost hunt to Griffith Park. Okay, let me play this for you.
Please.
That's crazy, right?
Oh, my.
Please.
Oh, yes. Wow.
Now, that recording changed my life. I did not hear anything at the time. I had a little mini recorder and I had a camera with a mic on it. Now, it was just me there. I heard footsteps and like noise, but nothing human. There was no one there. And then, God, I'm getting the heebie-jeebies right now. And when I went home, I played it and I clearly hear a voice. I mean, that's a dude talking to me. That's a voice, right?
That is definitely a voice.
Yeah. Now that has changed my life. That is evidence to me that paranormal activity exists, that this is real. You know, what you're seeing, what I'm feeling in my house, this is real.
It is real.
Oh, wow.
It is definitely real. The thing is, they feed on fear. So again, stand your ground. Make certain that you are cleansing your space, that you are welcoming. We can welcome in any kinds of energy. I made the mistake when I was a teenager that I thought, I'm getting into spiritualism and I'm going to just open up the veil and I'm going to call in any spirit who wants to talk to me. Well, I started hearing voices and things started being moved in my house and I was shoved down the stairs. And even my own mother had started, she's a Native American and also at the time was very powerful psychic and medium, even though she was devoutly Christian. She was afraid that she was going to go to hell. So she put her blinders on it. But she said, there's something in the house that's not living in the house, but there's something in the house.
Well, and your brother was inviting all kinds of things and crazy.
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
What an interesting childhood you had.
Yes. Well, I didn't realize what I was doing. But when I lived in Hollywood, I realized this sort of feeling is that in Hollywood, there's a lot of energy in Hollywood. And not all of it is good. Yeah. Most of it's not.
No. And
so to the living, I wouldn't open my door to my front house, to the front of my house and tell people, hey, everybody, come in, everybody. I don't care who you are. Come in. because you're going to get meth addicts and you're going to get the homicidal and you're going to attract those dark energies by welcoming any spirit. So we have myself and several others like me, we will oftentimes make certain that we speak directly to the kinds of energies that we want invited into our realm. It's sort of along the lines of a guest list. So if you're having a party at your house, you say, these people, they can come to my house. And if you have friends, they can come too. However, this is the kind of energy that I allow here. If one of the guests get rowdy, then you have to politely ask the person to leave. And if they don't leave, then you have to call in external forces. You have to call in the police. You have to say, escort that person off of my property. And it's the same way in the spirit world.
That's fascinating. And you know what? I think you're right. I think if you have a crappy personality in life, you're going to be the same in death. No one is going to want to be around you. You're going to be a miserable ghost.
Absolutely. And that's why when I welcome the energies, when I raise the veil between this world and the next, I'm always polite, and I always speak to those pleasant spirits. I always ask these wonderful, joyous, good, pleasant beings to come so that we may have a conversation. They're my guests, and I'm a guest in their realm.
So tell me about Halloween. Is this a time where the veil you speak about is lifted between our world and the ghostly world?
Oh, absolutely. It dates way back to the ancient Celts who divided their world into two sections, in the warmer months and the cooler months. And the midway point is 31st October. Oh. And so they would light their bonfires to bless the spirits, to let them know we love you. Don't damage our crops in the spring. It was a beautiful time of the year in which spirits were known to walk the earth. And if they were happy, they would bless you. And if they weren't happy, then you would be in trouble. Now, Christians later adopted this, and they sort of came into All Saints' Day or All Hallows' Eve, which is where you would honor the dead. But across all cultures, there is around that time of the year when people will honor the dead, and they will communicate. They'll go to the cemeteries. They'll have their mourning practices. So yes, the veil is thinner at that time of year, because again, when you're thinking about it, you're opening that up.
Right. You're giving energy into that. That's interesting. Wow. So I have to ask you, Richard-Lael, one last question. What is your prediction for the podcast?
Oh, for your future podcast? Well, I have some really good predictions for you. I feel like you are going to get bigger and bigger, and you are going to reach 3,000 you'll reach 3,000 followers. If you're not already there, you're probably pretty close. But that will be this year, and then you'll continue to grow, and it's going to lead to bigger things.
I love that. So we're not going to pod fade. I'm not going to become a ghostly spirit in the podcasting world. That's good. No. That is so good. Thank you.
Well, you're going to learn, as I said, when you start opening up your mind, then you start learning how to control it and how to manipulate it and how to make certain that you're protected. If you do those things, you can, I have videos on it on the YouTube channel. You can find ways to protect your spirit and your energy, so you don't have to worry about being a ghost.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to put that fear aside and deal with my other fears. Okay, good. I'm not going to worry about being a ghost anymore. Thank you. Because Perfect. It has been on my mind. I don't want to be stuck here, especially in Burbank. It's not a lot of fun here.
Burbank is kind of
boring. It is Burbank. It's newlyweds and nearly deads here. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Aimee Keeps It Creepy. I am dying, no pun intended, on having a seance show with you when things settle down with the pandemic.
I would be honored.
Oh, I know our listeners would love it. And then we'll put some video on that, and you can see Richard-Lael and his mad Victorian Edwardian style and his beautiful home where he does his seances. It's just so cool. You should also check out his YouTube channel. I highly recommend.
It's a lot of fun. You can find me on any social media, The Gentleman Psychic, thegentlemanpsychic.com, Gentleman Psychic on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You want to see the Instagram too. That's a fun one.
Absolutely. It's all about the gram. All right. Thank you. Do you have a creepy true crime or paranormal story that you would like to share on Aimee Keeps It Creepy? I know you do. Please email a brief description of your story to info@creepypodcast.com. I can't wait to get creeped out. Thank you for listening.
Toxic content.